The Capital One SavorOne had a refresh and is now the Capital One Savor Cash Card. This is arguably one of the best credit cards of all time, and it might be the best no annual fee card in a certain spending category. But in this video, I'll cover both the pros and the cons to the card and whether I think it's worth getting since there are some downsides. Also with the refresh came a brand new elevated welcome offer on the Savor, and if you've ever considered getting this card, now is the best time. So I'll cover that bonus and everything else you need to know. If you do find value from this video, please hit that like button, and without further ado, let's dive right in. So the big draw to the Capital One Savor is the card's main earning categories, and it's probably the best card in these categories with no annual fee and with no cap on how much you can earn. This card earns 3% back at grocery stores and dining, entertainment, and popular streaming services. For a credit card to earn 3% back on big categories like grocery stores and dining is pretty rare, but for a no annual fee card, that's almost unheard of. And that means the Savor goes head to head with popular annual fee cards like the Citi Strata Premier and the Amex Gold card. And I also like that it can fill in a gap where Chase credit cards don't have a very strong earning category. So for that reason, it's a very strong card, and there's even more earning categories, which I'll mention in just a minute. But first, what are some of the cons to the Capital One Savor card? Since there's no annual fee for this card, it's not really going to cost you anything in terms of dollars, but the real con is dealing with Capital One. Capital One has improved over the years, but they've been known to be really difficult to work with and are often seen as predatory due to high fees and high interest rates. But the most likely con you'll actually deal with is that when you apply for a card, they usually pull from all 3 credit bureaus. This means that unlike with other issuers like Chase, who normally pull from just one credit bureau like Experian, Capital One will add a hard inquiry to Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, and your credit score will be impacted across all 3 bureaus. Thankfully, inquiries do not affect your score for very long, and usually after a few months, your score is back up to normal or even higher. But that is a downside to working with Capital One you should be aware of. However, in my opinion, there are a lot more pros to the Savor card that we should dive into, and I want to cover the biggest one right now, and that is the new welcome offer. With the new refresh to the Savor, Capital One introduced a limited time offer of $250 in cash back after spending just $500 on purchases in the first 3 months. The previous offer was just $200, and in my opinion, this is a really good bonus since the spending requirement is so low. Plus, it's the equivalent of earning 50% back on your first $500 spent. Credit card welcome bonuses are easily one of the most underrated aspects of credit cards. And it's because a lot of people focus way more on earning categories, which are of course important, but they offer significantly less value than the bonuses. For example, earning $250 on the Savor card like you do with the bonus would normally take $8,300 spent in the 3% earning categories. So that bonus puts you way ahead in terms of the value that you can earn on this card. So if you've been considering the Savor, now is the time you should grab it while the welcome bonus is elevated. And by the way, I will have links to the Savor card and others in the description below. Those links are a completely free way you can support this channel, and I really am so grateful to all of you who use those links to apply for credit cards. So there are some other earning categories on the Savor that make it stand out a little more, and while they're not major spending categories, there are definitely some opportunities to get some extra value here. Like 5% cash back on hotels and rental cars booked through Capital One Travel, 8% back on Capital One Entertainment, and 1% back on everything else. Now, there's still 2 things that I think make this one of the best credit cards in any category. And first is that it comes with no foreign transaction fees. It's pretty rare for a card with no annual fee, and usually you need to get a card with an annual fee of at least $95 or more to get no foreign transaction fees. So that makes it a great travel credit card that you can take with you anywhere you travel. The second thing that I think makes it one of the best credit cards in any category is that it has some major value towards travel if you pair it with one of the Capital One Venture cards like the Venture X. The Capital One Venture X is one of the best credit cards. It has a $395 annual fee, which scares off a lot of people, but it comes with more than $400 in easy-to-use credits, meaning you can come out ahead on this card every year if you use the credits. And on top of that, it comes with free airport lounge access, which is one of my favorite credit card perks, and it gets me free food and a much better airport experience. The reason it's good to pair these 2 cards together is that the cash back you earn with the Savor card can be combined with the Venture X and turn into Capital One miles, which means you can use them for travel for greater value. And this often increases the value of the points you're earning by 80%. The main way to do this and increase the value of your points is to transfer them to Capital One travel partners. When you pair the Savor with one of the venture cards, you can then transfer miles to Capital One hotel and airline travel partners like Air France, British Airways, Air Canada, and many more at a 1-to-1 ratio. And if you know how to redeem Capital One miles, you can increase their value to the point that many people typically value Capital One miles at 1.8 cents per point, or 80% more than they were worth as cashback. So combining the Savor card with the VentureX really improves the value of an already good card, and in the credit card community, we like to call this combination the Capital One Duo. And it's one of the best credit card combinations out there. Now, before you look into Capital One credit cards, there's a few application rules you want to be aware of ahead of time so that you don't automatically get denied. Capital One does seem to be relaxing on these rules recently, so don't be afraid to test these out because there seems to be a lot of exceptions to these rules, but it's good to be aware of so that you avoid getting 3 hard inquiries on your credit report for no reason. The first rule is the 1 card per 6 months rule. Capital One typically restricts approvals to 1 new card every 6 months across both personal and business cards. This includes cards from other issuers, so if you've opened new cards recently, that could potentially be an issue for you. But like I said before, they seem to be relaxing on the rule recently, and a lot of people have reported that they got approved even though they had opened more than 1 card in the last 6 months. The next rule to be aware of is the 2 card limit. In the past, Capital One has generally limited you to just 2 personal Capital One credit cards. But again, this rule has relaxed a lot. One of the best ways to make sure you don't get automatically denied is the Capital One pre-approval tool. Capital One allows you to check if you're pre-approved for any offers, which doesn't mean you'll automatically get approved, but it does mean you're highly likely to get approved. So you can use this tool to check if you're pre-approved for the card you want, and then make sure you go ahead and use your referral links from friends or family or links to content creators that you want to support. Again, if you want to apply for this or any other cards, I will have links down in the description below. So hopefully this video helped provide some value for you, and if it did, I also made a video on my experience with the VentureX that I think you'll find valuable as well. But that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.